like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity with Legacy Partners. And today we're going to be going through two things. One is really a cool project, or one is a cool piece, and that is discovering your life vision. Should take you around 20 minutes to do this. It is potentially the most important thing you'll ever do in your life, because you're going to find out the first draft of why you were created. If you ever run into Elon Musk, give this to him, because he's the richest man currently in the world. And so he owns Tesla and SpaceX and Twitter, that's now X. And so this is what he's looking for. So we have the answer for Elon Musk. I'm just saying, we just do. He's looking for the meaning of life. And so the meaning of life is that you are created in this crazy cool way. This is the advantage of having a life view like I have. Like, you can have a life view any way you want. It's you. You get to make a choice. So if you want to make a choice that your evolution, where you were evolved from a one cell something and you came from apes, you can do that if you want. That is your choice. I don't think that makes you feel special. Like I evolved from apes. I mean, but again, you can do that. And so I believe that God's created every one of the human beings, the 8+ billion people in the world. I believe that God created every single one with a very specific life vision that's totally unique, totally different from anyone else in the world. And that makes you very special. When you have that worldview, then you have this insane confidence, and then you have this crazy humility that very few people have. The humility comes to where God's created every single human being to be special. So you're no different than anyone else. Like with me, God told me when I was 8 that I was average or below average. It seems like he has not told that to a lot of young men, or they're not listening. So they think they're really, really special. And they are special, but maybe not in the way they think they are. And so the humility is really, really important. It's one of the biggest challenges as a parent, is how do you teach your children to be humble, but yet confident? And as adults, we struggle with that too if we don't understand our life vision. So my life vision is to touch every single person in the world, one person at a time, make a huge difference in every aspect of their life in a really fun and exciting way. And yes, that's 8+ billion people. I've known that since I was 8 years old. When I say that, people are just drawn to me, because they're like, this guy, like he knows, he has clarity on what he's designed to do, and he's seeking to live out that design every single day, throughout the day. That's the most important thing, is what was I created to do, and then do those things. And when you understand, so I can't tell you how many people around me, my son Ben, he's one of them, where we were kayaking last year and we're floating down the river, and he said, "Dad, I wish I was like you." Most people don't say that. And if they do, they don't say it very frequently, because most people don't want to be like me, which is fine. But I said, "What do you mean, son?" He's like, you don't care what people think about you. Now, when he says that, I agree with him, but that doesn't mean I don't consider what people are thinking. There's a difference between caring what people think and considering it. I consider everything that people say about me, because I think they've been put into my life to help me to see things that I can't see. And so I consider everything. But just because somebody doesn't like me, thinks I'm arrogant, thinks I have high ego, thinks I'm a jerk, thinks I'm mean, thinks that I'm evil, whatever people want to think of me, that is, more times than not, it is revealing their own heart. It's not revealing mine. Now, it might reveal some part of mine, which is okay because I'm going to always consider it, but I'm not controlled by other people because I have clarity on what I was created to do. And so I figured that out when I was 8. And for years, I thought God talked to everybody when they were 8. I just thought everybody is clear as to what their life vision is. Like, how can people not be clear? It was clear to me. I was at Camp Fairwood in Wisconsin. I was 8 years old. I was out by the canteen and eating some treats. And I don't know how, raised Baptist, so God doesn't speak to anybody directly. Like I jokingly say, but it's probably true that God's never spoken to me in a vision or a dream or audibly, because if he had, I wouldn't believe him. So, anyways, I don't know how. I just remember very clearly God said to me, Mark, you're an average to below average kid. That's the first thing I heard from my creator. Mark, you're an average to below average kid. And I was. My oldest brother is a CPA, very smart, very high IQ. My youngest sister, she's a medical doctor. She's got probably even higher IQ. Me, not so much. I didn't like school. And so I knew when God said that to me, it resonated. I'm like, yeah, you're just average or actually below average in most things, Mark. And it was fine. And then he said, Mark, if you're a good steward with what I give you, you will impact the entire world. And then I said, oh, that's cool. Like, you're 8 years old. What do you say? When you're 8, you just believe things you're told. Like, okay. And then I went back to eating my treat, didn't think anything of it. I'm just like, this is just what happens to people. I mean, everybody has that, right? And I still don't know the answer to that. And it was in my maybe early 30s that I started realizing. So again, I'm not the sharpest tool in the tool shed. I'm not the brightest bulb. Like I mean, it took me like, I don't know, 20 years to figure out everybody doesn't have, they're not clear on their life vision. I'm like, what a terrible place to be in life. Because once you discover your life vision, you understand everything. You understand why there's pain, why the hurt. You understand everything. Like your life vision, it is the most important thing, I believe, to discover. So then I started researching. I started like how do I help people? Like I would run into people and say they don't know their life vision. So I spent over 30 years discovering how to help people discover their life vision. And so this is through Life Masteries Institute. And so they have a really cool page here. That'll be somewhere around here. Um, and it's discovering your life vision. And it takes 20 minutes to do it. It'll take you less time to discover your life vision than it does for you to listen to this, which is strange. Just do it. So what you do is the essence of it, you just draw a circle. You just draw a circle and then you list everything you're passionate about around that circle. And the center of all your passions is your life vision. Bring that to a coffee connection, your art mentor, your art buddies, to me, whatever, and just list your passions. What are you passionate about? It can be chocolate, it can be shopping, it can be golf, it can be your kids, your grandkids, it can be whatever you want it to be. And so having 7 children, it was weird to me. Like Jonathan, our son who died 3 years ago, like we went to a very conservative church where we couldn't go to movies. It was in the Constitution. And so we didn't go to movies because, that was the church we went to. Like, you can't go to movies because you're supporting Hollywood entertainment, which was fine. But it was weird because Jonathan wanted to be a movie producer. I'm like, what? Like, that's just weird. Like, it's just weird. And Melissa, she has some leaning and aspirations to be a clothing designer. It's like, have you ever seen me? Like, my wife and I are not the most into fashion. Like, that's not the top priority for us to be in fashion. Like, could your kids have things? And so I believe it's like a fingerprint. So you can actually, there's some really cool ones here. You can, like this one here is an artist, and so right in the center, and then all in the eyelashes here is where her passions are. This is Katrina's. So she created a lot of creativity. And so you can do it, this one here is Sarah. She was, I think, 5 years old. And her life vision, so you write down your passions. Don't worry about writing out your life vision. If you give me your passions, you show me this circle. It's just the essence of what are we passionate about? See, I believe a passion circle, um, like Cheryl and Elaine and Adam, they're going to have some passions that overlap mine, but they're not going to have the exact passions that I do. I believe there's no two passion circles that are alike. I believe every individual is different, but this helps to connect us. This helps to connect us together very quickly. And so, Sarah's is I'm here to, you know, um, play and learn. I like her life vision a lot better than mine. I want to switch mine to her. At 59 years old, that's what I want to do. I want to play and learn. I mean, touching all 8 billion people is kind of a pain. Like, it's interesting. Tom Kuntz, the first time I met him, I said, "What's your life vision? What do you think you've been put on this planet to do?" He said, "Change how real estate is done all over the world." I'm like, "Wow, that's pretty cool." He said, "What's your life vision, Mark?" I said, "To touch every single person, world, one person at a time, make a huge difference in every aspect of their life in a really fun and exciting way. And yes, to say 8+ billion people." He's like, "You'll do it." I'm like, "Excuse me?" He said, "You'll do it." I'm like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "How do you know?" This was 20 years ago. Um, I said, "How do you know?" He says, "I can just tell it in your voice." I'm like, "Wow." He's the only person that's ever said that to me. I mean, most people are like, whatever. Or they're like, "Wow, that's such a cool goal." It's really not. Jeff Ristine said when I was probably in my early 40s, he was in the on the driveway, and he and I were talking, and he worked in real estate and driveway to our home, and he says, "Mark, I have never met anybody in my life that is so clear on what their life vision is." He says, "I want that." I said, "Well, Jeff," and he was a Christian. I said, "Well, Jeff, again, if you're Muslim or Buddhist or, I don't care what you are. I mean, you know, like you just look around, like you can tell you're created. Like this doesn't, anyways, we won't go there, but whatever your belief system is, like you're created special. You just are. And when you understand how special you are created, I don't think you can understand how special other people are created until you understand how special you are. See, once we understand how special we are, then it's magical. I mean, I'm telling you, it's just absolutely magical. Um, and so I said to Jeff, I laughed. I said, "Well, Jeff, be careful what you pray for." One is I'm not sure if God gives everyone clarity like I do. I mean, I'm just an average, below average guy. That's very clear to me. I mean, it's very, very clear. Very clear. And so I'm not sure he does it. And two is if you do pray it and it does happen, um, you may not like it. Alan Stein said to me years ago, he said, "Mark, I think you've discovered when you like your life vision, when you hate your life vision, you want to run from your life vision, um, and it pursues you relentlessly." And people say that's a really cool life vision. Not really. I mean, we had this amazing podcast with this woman who's helping child trafficking, and it's like, I need to be involved in that. Man, I need that. And so, anyways, don't make it more complicated than what it is. You can redo it. Don't worry about it. Like it's funny because like I was out in Maryland at some friends, Alan and Nancy, and we were out eating, And Jonathan and his new wife was out there, and Melissa was out there, and Ginger Ann, but they were out doing fun stuff when I was meeting with them about their business stuff, and we were eating. And I said, "Did you both?" It was at the end of 3 days out there, 3 or 4 days out there working with their employees on a whole bunch of things. We're at the table, and I said, "Hey, have you guys accomplished what you wanted to accomplish from me being out here?" And I'll never forget, Alan said, "Well, actually, no, because I wanted Nancy to know how to live her life vision every single day." And I just started crying right in the restaurant, right in front of him. Like, because my mom had just died. And that was 7 years ago. Like, she understood me in a way that nobody did. She understood that I was special. And so I was overwhelmed. Like, I was just like overwhelmed with everything. And I was exhausted from just pouring everything into their company and all their employees and just everything that was going on. And it was just overwhelming for me. And back up a couple of years, Nancy and Alan would come out to, they would come out to Chicago with a bunch of their employees and stuff. And Nancy, it's like a simple exercise, and she couldn't do it. Like, she couldn't do this. So if you can't do it, it's okay. Just get me or somebody around you. So on a napkin, I was frustrated. I'm like, "Nancy." She's like, "I can't do it." I'm like, "Really, Nancy?" So I just take a napkin and I just draw a circle. I'm like, then I listed, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 10 things, that she was passionate about. I mean, you can just tell what people are passionate about. Like Cheryl, I could go ahead and probably come up with 15 or 20 things for Cheryl that I know she's passionate about. So again, sometimes we need help. And so Nancy needed help. So I just wrote it. And then she's like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." And she's finished now, which was really cool. But now, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6 years later, she's wondering, how do I live that out every single day? And I'm exhausted emotionally. I can't. I've given everything I can give. There's nothing left to give. And so, like in football, it's like the Hail Mary, where you're just throwing it down the field. And I'm like, "I don't know, Nancy." Like, I'm crying, and I'm like, "I don't know, Nancy." And Alan, like, "Nancy, take 6 minutes a day and go through and write something, journal something about, every one of your passions." And she did that. She's very analytic. And so she did that. And it was the coolest thing in the world. She defined, she did it, I think, for over a year. Like Rosanna, she's journaling, like, journal, share your thoughts with other people, be vulnerable, share your thoughts with other people, discover your life vision, and then like get to know yourself. Like, be self-aware. Like, why am I passionate about? What am I passionate about? Why am I passionate about these things? And it wasn't brilliant. It wasn't because I was smart. Nobody had ever asked me that before. It wasn't, it was just a Hail Mary. It was just like I I was so emotionally spent. And it worked. So the first step is to discover your life vision. Just do the best you can. You can come back and rewrite the vision. You can add to passion. It's not like it's not, there's no way you can do it wrong. You can't do this wrong. Don't overthink this. For sure, do not overthink this. Just do it. Like, if Sarah, a 5-year-old, if she can go ahead and do it, you can do it. You can. All right. So that's the first part. Now, going into the pain part. Um, so some people think I'm a machine, and I wouldn't argue with them. I wouldn't disagree. Um, the way my mind works it's insane. And so, like, it's insane. It is absolutely insane. Here's my journal, and Adam will put a link here to my website that people are putting together for me. This is a part of my journal. Like, I started journaling when I turned 40 years old. So I've been journaling for 19 years, going on 20 years. I mean, but I've been thinking about this stuff since I was, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old. So, but these are all my, these are some of my journals. So I have rules that govern. I have a whole set of rules, and that you can find there too. So there's rules that I have. Like, one of my rules is I don't tell people anything twice. I mean, I do, but I don't like it. It's like, you should be listening to what I'm saying. What I'm saying is important. Like, when I was 8 years old, and my grandfather, he probably told me something I didn't want to do, or I didn't like, and I started explaining it to him, and I started rationalizing, justifying. He just laughed like grandfathers do. He's like, Mark, buddy, let me explain something to you. So when somebody says something to you, there's some amount of truth to it. It could be 1% or 99%. It's really up to you to decide, not up to other people. So when somebody says, Mark, you're arrogant, when somebody says you're mean or you're not, anything somebody says, I just laugh. Because I'm like, yep, there's some amount of truth to it. Now, I found later in life that the more defensive, angry, and upset that I get, the more truth there is. So there's all kinds of stuff here. I mean, almost all of this comes from pain. It all comes from pain. A lot of pain. Lot of pain. So I remember when Tim, our 22-year-old, I remember when he was 5, and I was giving him a hug at night before he went to bed, and I went around his neck and held him, and there was this like bulge on his neck that was the size of a golf ball. Like, whoa, that's weird. That's weird. So we had him checked out, brought him in, had him checked out, and they found that, they said you need to have surgery. It could be cancerous, and it's right in the neck, where if there could be complications in the surgery, and he could be paralyzed on the left side of his whole body could be paralyzed. His face could be paralyzed because of the nerves and everything. And so we have, 7 kids. He's the youngest. We're in the kitchen, and we're in the kitchen and taking him in. And so Ginger Ann, our oldest, was, I don't know, she was a teenager, and then everything down to 5 years old. And I remember I prayed for him and the family, and I said, we don't know how this is going to work. Like, we don't know how it's going to work. We don't know. So you feel so helpless as a dad. You're like, and you have all these emotions and feelings and everything. And I go ahead and I say to the family, I say, things could get messy. It could get hard. It's probably not going to die, but he could be paralyzed. There's a whole bunch of stuff that could happen. And so we prayed, and I said, but it's very important that we all understand this doesn't change our life vision, our family. So 7 kids, 7 continents. Each one of the kids have a continent. Like, we have this planned out. And I said, so if something happens, if it's okay, like, it's okay, whatever happens, it's okay. It doesn't change. We're not going to get bitter or angry to God. This is just life. And so we go in, get him settled on the, operating table. They bring him in, the poor 5-year-old boy. There's 6 kids in Rosanna, and the company was in a really vulnerable place. Really vulnerable place. And I couldn't afford to take the whole day off. Like, like I couldn't afford to do that. I had to work. Like, like, like I had to work. Otherwise, I could lose the business. And when people say money doesn't buy happiness, it's typically people who have a lot of money. And I agree, money doesn't buy happiness, but a lack of it creates a lot of issues. And so we get him settled. He's in the operating room. I don't know, it's a 4-hour surgery and 4 hour surgery, and then he's coming out. And I say to Rosanna after he gets in, and I'm like, honey, I need to go to work. I didn't want to go to work. I didn't. But I'll stay if you need me to stay for sure. And she looked at me and she smiled and she said, it's okay. I've got it covered. Jonathan was 12, 13. He was 13 or 14. And each of the kids had a continent. His was Africa. And so, he was giving me attitude and stuff about it. I'm like, listen, bud, you know, you know, and so I said, you don't have to go. I'll replace you, buddy. I'll take somebody else. And he got his head out of somewhere. And he's like, no, Dad, I'll go. Like, okay, buddy. This is a mission, buddy. This is important. So poor guy, you know. So after he gets his head in the right area, I go ahead and say, no, bud, we don't know what's going to happen over there. Like, we're going into a country where they don't like Christians and they don't like Americans. And we could, you could see your dad literally beheaded. Poor guy, 13 years old. Like, you could see your dad beheaded. He could die right in front of you. He could be murdered right in front of you. And I said, it doesn't change anything. You have no bitterness. You have no anger. You don't have any of that. You have a life vision to impact all of Africa. I didn't die. He didn't die on the trip. So, like, your life vision, I'm just saying, it helped you get through a bunch of stuff. When my dad died, you know, I was at a coffee connection. He was in hospice, and so we knew he was going to die, just didn't know when. And we got a call. Rosanna got a call from, from my mom, and it's, either I wasn't listening real well or she wasn't communicating real well. But she went ahead and she said, um, "Your dad's died." That's what I thought she said. What my mom said was, "Your dad's very close to dying." But I didn't hear that. I heard that he died. And my mom's there alone. Nobody's with her. And I don't know, there's 10 people at the coffee connection. And I had a split decision to make. What am I going to do? Run out, or am I going to? And so I have responsibility to these people as leaders, as a leader. It's like, can't just run off. So I spent another, I don't know, 10 minutes with them. And then we left, and we got stuck behind some stupid train. And when we finally got there, my mom was there, and she's like, Dad just passed like 10 minutes ago. Like, really? But it's okay. It is. So the next week I go, the next week, I go to the Coffee Connection, and these are people that know me pretty well. And Kevin King, who had 3 strokes and almost died, and man, I miss that guy. He's under 24-hour care now. And he said to me, he said, Mark, it was crazy to see you last week. It was crazy to see you last week and how you handled it. Like, your dad's just about ready to die. Your mom's there, and you stay with us. And I laughed. I said, well, yeah, when your life vision's bigger than death, you get over stuff. You just do. So again, I could go on. There's so many stories all interconnect like a spider web. So discover your life vision, live it every day. Understand that your life, like everybody, it's built within the human nature to go ahead and be, it's built to be where everybody wants to be significant, be significant. But it seems like to me, people are not willing to do the required things to be significant. And that's kind of stupid. Like, I mean, it's fine if you don't want to be significant, don't do significant things. Hopefully this has been helpful. Cheryl, Elaine, Adam, any questions or thoughts that any of you have?
Nope.
All right. So make sure 20 minutes, get the first draft, get that done, start connecting that like Nancy Virts did, every single day, journal on your life vision. It's important. You're important. You're going to change the world. You're going to do whatever you're designed to do if you understand what that is. So hopefully this has been helpful. Have a blessed day.